Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another virtual wargaming live battle report. Today I have a 500-ish point game of Warhammer Fantasy 6th edition between vampire counts and the Empire using my Little Lords format. So I've only done one video of Little Lords before, so I'm going to quickly recount what that is and what I've changed. Little Lords is basically Warbands, which is less unit minimum sizes, smaller games. It caps out at 500 points and can go down as low as 200 before it starts to break apart. So you can see, for instance, here we have a unit of only 5 handgunners when the usual minimum is 10, for instance. Little Lords takes this and adds a Lord level character to it with a cap of 500 points that you can spend on them. For every 5 points not spent on a Lord, you can spend 1 more point on your army. In my previous game, we did Lizardmen versus Bretonia, and we had both a Carnosaur and a Hippogriff on the field, so most of the points were consumed by the heroes. Today I want to try something a little bit different. So we have Empire and we have Vampire counts, and you will see that the Empire list, at least, is doing something a bit different. So let's go over that real quick. First off, let's have a look at our hero. Our hero here is just an elect account on foot with full plate armor, a shield, and Rune Fang. That's 195 points, or 39 points of converted points, basically. And in the previous game, the Lord was worth victory points equal to their normal victory point cost. Oh, sorry, normal points cost. This was sort of a problem because it basically meant that if your Lord cost over 400 points, killing the Lord was more valuable than killing everything else in the army. To avoid this, I am changing it so that now that they're worth their adjusted points cost in victory points. So this guy is only worth 39 victory points if he's killed, making the loss of your Lord significantly less impactful, especially for armies like this that are running a really cheap one. So, as you can see, he is accompanied by a unit of 8 greatswords. In addition to that, we have 2 units of 5 handgunners deployed on the hills, a unit of 20 swordsmen that have a champion and a standard bearer, a unit of 10 halberdiers that just have a champion, and then a unit of 5 flagellants. I've used flagellants once before and they did not go well, so I'm hoping that they're better this time, and we shall see. For the vampire counts, we have a vampire lord. This is a blood dragon, so he is going to have high weapon skill. I'd say he's just generally a combat monster, basically. He has the Red Fury ability, giving him +1 attack. He is mounted on a Nightmare with Barding. He has an enchanted shield. Obviously, being a blood dragon, he automatically has full plate armor. So he is rocking, off the top of my head, a 0-up save, I think. Not that it'll do him any good if he ever touches the elect account. And he has the Wailing Helm, which makes him cause terror. In addition to that, for our core units, we have a bat swarm of 2 bases. I am using the same one as last time because I love them. They are so goofy little boys. I'm very proud of being able to use kit bashing to do this now. We also have a unit of 5 ghouls, a unit of 10 skeletons with a standard bearer, a unit of 10 zombies, and a banshee. Banshees I've also used once before and didn't go great, but I'm hoping with a smaller game and me being less of an idiot now, it'll go better. Obviously, some astute viewers, those of you who have watched my other battle reports, may recognize this map as being the one that I played the Skaven vs. Tomb Kings game on. This is something that I've been wanting to do for a while, which is just sort of like develop out maps that I really like and that I want to use again and again and again. Ideally, I would like to have like names for them so that I can just start off a game and be like, hey, this is between this faction on this name map. And then I can just sort of deep dive into really understanding the intricacies. What each, like for instance, what the gap between these 2 points might imply. All the really little things that you don't see come up in most games, but do come up occasionally. I know, for instance, in my Dwarfs vs. Amazons video, we had a little gap that came up that I was like, oh, this is cool, this is important. And if I never play on that battlefield again, it will never matter again. So I want to revisit battlefields, really basically just hone the craft of making good battlefields. and then have better games as a result. So, with that out of the way, victory conditions. Vampire Count's got the Annihilate victory condition, which I believe means that they have to reduce the unit strength of the Empire down to half, their starting number. I think with a Vampire Lord, that is going to be Vampire Lord and a Banshee, that is very likely to work. Empire, meanwhile, have the really difficult one, Capture the Colors. There's only one banner on this map. They have to capture this banner, and I'm not sure if they're going to be able to succeed, because if they kill the Vampire Lord, the unit might crumble. If they shoot the unit too well, it might just be shot to pieces. Who knows what's going to happen? Not I. So, with that out of the way, let's get jumping straight into it. The Empire got the first turn, and I'm going to try and work out how to untangle this absolute cluster that is my deployment. So, we're going to start off with movement. We're going to just shoot great, so it's right down the road. Halberdiers are going to shoot forward 8 inches as well. Because again, we're trying to just mess this situation up. Our swordsmen are going to also march up. They're going to stop a little bit. No, actually, we're going to go the full 8 forward right now. Because I don't want to try and wheel and present a juicy target to the Vampire Lord. But the Flagellants are going to have to wheel. So we're going to wheel these guys around like this. And then wheel. Wheel them a little bit further, actually. Honestly, I should just wheel them to here. Just accept what I'm going for. So it's our 1.5, basically. And then we just move them up. In behind these guys. 1.5. Lets them go 6.5. Yeah, so if we go 5 here, actually, I think that should wheel back out perfectly. Oh, I'm bad at math. Whoops. Never mind. Don't know what I was thinking. 2.4, so yeah, 5.5. Which will be about there, it's fine. Oh, I also forgot magic, because obviously the Vampire Lord is a caster. He has spells, which I've already generated. He got, I don't remember what he got. He got Hellish Vigor and something else. And I went, oh, the Hand of Dust, that's what he got. And obviously I replaced Hand of Dust with Invocation of Nehek. So, if he gets any magic in, he's a Blood Dragon, so question marks on that front. And he is only a level 2 wizard. So he only has 3 power dice to work with, because Blood Dragon. But if he gets anything through, awesome. If not, oh well, that's not his job. Alright, so, with that little note out of the way, shooting phase. I could try and shoot at the Vampire Lord, but I don't like my odds with the line of sights. So, I'm going to go ahead and shoot at handgun unit, this one, at the skeletons. So obviously, we are out of range, but they get plus 1d6 inches to their first shot, so they are in range for that one. So it's going to be 5 attacks. They will hit on 5s because we're long range. We'll wound on 3s, and the save is, I think off the top of my head, skeletons have, yeah, they have light armor and shields, but this is ranged attacks, armor piercing. Alright, bang, 1 dead skeleton. Fantastic. And then next up we have the handgunners. These ones, they're going to fire at the zombies. Let's see how far away they are. Oh yeah, they're definitely in range, because even if you just add 1 inch, that still hits. So 5 attacks, hit on 5s, wound on 3s, save on 7s, go. 1 dead zombie. A good start, to be sure. Okay, now, undead turn. Well, Vampire Count's turn. Obviously, we're going to start with our ghouls, and our ghouls are going to scurry straight into the ruins. For those who aren't familiar, I just realized I didn't explain this. The ruins are difficult terrain. You can just move through any parts, even the big central statue. I'm taking advantage of the fact that this is not a physical tabletop with a physical statue there. So you can just move anywhere in the ruins. It's totally fine. And they count as hard cover for enemies shooting into it. But you can see and shoot into the whole thing, but you can't see from one side to the other. So a unit over here can't be seen by a unit over here. but a unit here can be seen by both units on either side. Hopefully that makes sense. Next up we have our Banshee. Now Banshee is going to book at 12 inches straight into the ruins. She has a date with screaming at some greatswords. Which, you know what, sounds like a really good night, actually. I'd be down for screaming at greatswords. Alright, and then our Vampire Lord, he's gonna go here, here. Do we just want to, like, full send him? I don't think we do. No, we don't. What do we want to do with him, actually? That's a really good question, I think. We want to sort of wheel him to here. Yeah. Like, yeah, he's going to get shot at. Oh, no, we're going to pull him back to here. So he's less likely to get shot at. And then this just sort of lets him get around and try and charge handgun on his incoming turns. Zombies. Oh, real quick. What's the march rules? Alright, they only march if within 12 inches of... Oh, goodness, I just realized I forgot the Banshee. Okay. Whoops, he was here, I believe. Okay, so the Banshee's out of range, but all of these guys aren't. Okay, so he goes back to there. Banshee can only go 6 inches. That's unfortunate, but, like, whatever. Zombies 8 inches forward. Skeletons. Yeah, we're just gonna hard commit 8 inches forward. It's fine. I'm gonna count on the fear to get me through that. And then the bat swarm is gonna fly up to here, because let's be real here, the zombies aren't charging this turn, but the bats might be. And then we are into the magic phase. Okay, so I get 3 power dice as the undead, as the vampire counts, versus 2 dispel dice from the empire. Okay. A 7-up on 2 dice is pretty likely. I'm going through my thoughts. I don't want a hellish figure, obviously. Well, I can't hellish figure, so I'm invocation of Nehecking. And obviously I'm going to go ahead and probably restock my skeletons, I think. I don't want to add a new unit, because I know that that creates more potential victory points, and that's the opposite of what I want. But I'm just trying to debate if I want to do a 7-up or an 11-up version. And we're going to go for the 11-up version. So 3 dice getting thrown at that. If it works, it's basically impossible to dispel. It didn't work, so it doesn't go off. Out of curiosity, though. Yeah, I would have actually gotten a 2 dice version off. Oh well. And then the Banshee has a scream range of, I believe, 8 inches, which... I'm going to try and scream at these guys. Yeah, we're 12 inches away. Okay, that's fine. That's just sort of like confirming to myself what the distance is there. So, let's get into... Alright, so sorry. End of Vampire Counts turn 1. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and we're going to have the Halberdiers declare charge at the skeletons. Are we in range? No, we are not, but we still have to make a fear check, I believe. So let's see. 3, yep, they're fine, so you need to go 4 inches forward. Okay, let's think about this. Obviously... Okay, so the vampire cannot actually break a rank, but he could go in and then... yeah, that's probably what's going to happen. Alright. We're going to try and march with these guys. Obviously, I've said this in the past, but I'm going to reiterate it. I house rule that you're allowed to march through difficult terrain. So it's 1.5 up to there. So that leaves them with 6.5, which halves down to like 3.25. Alright, so 3.25 forward. Perfect. And basically what we're doing is we're blocking off the line for the Vampire Lord to charge into the Halberdiers, and making sure that the Bat Swarm doesn't really have room to get in either, is the goal there. So our Flagellant's going to go forward a bit. Wheel. And then just bring up the rear. The Great Swords, they're going to march up about this far. And then we're going to wheel them because because the ghouls are coming, the banshee's coming. We need something to be able to be ready for those. Okay, handgunners. Yeah, they have line of sight, so we're gonna fire at the Vampire Lord. Now he is a single model, but he is on a horse. I'm actually gonna double check this real quick. Off the top of my head, it's only single man-sized units that you get penalties on. But I would hate for someone in the comments shooting at a single model. Yes, if the target is a single man-sized model, including characters on foot, then this penalty applies. Yep, no, he's fine. They can target him. Alright, so that is going to be 5 attacks. Hits on 5s. This is strength 4 versus toughness 5. So actually, this wounds on 5s. And as I established, this is full plate armor, so that's a 4 up. 3 up, 2 up from mounted, 1 up from enchanted shield, 0 up from enchanted, so still a 2 up save. Sheesh. Oh wow, and we still got a wound in. That's really impressive, actually. No, not 2 wounds, mate. 1 wound. Let me just fix this real quick. There we go. Alright. Notably, though, there is going to be terror going on. I didn't remember thinking about the terror, but oh well. And then the handgunners, we are going to fire those at... I'm not worried about the bat swarm, and there's no way we're doing 5 wounds to a bat swarm to kill it. So we're going to go ahead and hit the skeletons again. Because if we break 1 rank, that's like really big for the next combat with the halberdiers. So 5 shots, hit on 5s, wound on 3s, save on 7s. Go, nothing. That's really unfortunate. Alright, and then that brings us to the vampire turn. Okay, so skeletons are going into the halberdiers. That's my 1 charge of this game, this turn. Yeah, it's going to be the 1 charge of this turn. So, fear check. 9. They're within range of the Elector Count, who I think off the top of my head his leadership is... Yep, it's 9. Okay, so they make it. They pass, they're going to hold. Skeletons slam in. And they don't actually need to move around, so they're not going to. The rest of the movement. Bats. Bats are going to fly 10 inches over. Like so. It's like technically that's an illegal position, but I've established this before that I ignore that rule because I don't have the problem of models, what's it called again, being a physical object. And that's like, I think a lot of the reason that we have 1 part of rules is just so that you can physically get fingers in, and you can tell at a glance what's engaged and what's not. But like we can tell very clearly this isn't an engaged unit. So I think that's fine. Now next up, Vampire Lord. He is going to skirt around here. And then we're going to just swing right up to here. And then we're just going to try and position him so he can see both units. So he can charge either handgunner unit if he desires. Next up, we've got some ghouls. They're going to creep up to here. The Banshee is going to swing 6 inches forward. For context on the ghouls, because ghouls have are alive, they can double move even when they're not within radius. And our zombies were in radius at the beginning, so we're going to move them forward. And then unfortunately I'm going to have to like wheel them this way, because otherwise they're going to get absolutely chomped on by the swordsman if they get the charge into the flank. They might still get absolutely chomped on if this is close enough, which it probably is. So with that out of the way, let's go ahead and do some magic. Okay. I am going to Invocation of Nehek, just at a level 7, because I want this to go through. So, 3 dice, and that's a miscast. Fantastic. I don't think we've miscast in a long time. That's probably because I never bring magic to this game, because I find the magic phase kind of tedious and boring. But let's see what a 5 does on our miscast table. 5. The caster is knocked off his feet by a sorcerer explosion. He cannot shoot or attack this turn, is hit automatically in close combat, and cannot cast any magic in this turn or his next turn, but is otherwise unaffected. That would have been really painful to happen in melee combat, especially against the Elector Count. Alright, so now Banshee, she's going to scream. She is going to scream at the Greatswords because she's in anything that she's in range of gets his leadership anyway, so we may as well try and kill the unit that he's in. So the way this works is pretty straightforward. 2d6 plus 2, that is 6. Subtract the leadership, which is 9. Okay, so that does nothing, unfortunately. Because the Banshee... basically she needed to roll a 10 or higher, and then for every number above 9, she would kill a Greatsword. But obviously that's not going to work out great for her right this second. Alright, so that brings us to the combat phase. 5 skeletons have just charged. They have weapon skill 2. They hit normal. So they have, let's see, 5 attacks. Hit on 4s, wound on 4s, save on 6s, because halberdiers only have light armor. Go. That is 1 dead halberdier. And then the halberdiers get to attack back. They get 5 attacks because they have a sergeant. They'll hit on 3s. They will wound on 3s. The skeletons will save on 5s. This is light armor, shields, and a hand weapon, which improves the shields by another 1. That is 1 dead skeleton. Alright, so that is the only other thing that needs to happen this turn. So we're going to do combat resolution now. These guys had a rank. These guys have a rank. They each killed 1. These guys outnumber. The skeletons have a banner. That ties things up perfectly. So, no leadership tests, no crumbling. And that is the end of BC turn 2. Okay, so I didn't consider this before, but it did cross my mind as I was moving the Banshee that the Elector Count can just break from his unit to charge at her, which is exactly what we're going to do. But first, terror tests. So we are within 6 inches on these units. These guys don't care, and these guys are out of range. So we start off with the swordsman. 7. They have passed. Thank goodness for that. But the handgunners haven't, so they are going to flee 5 inches. Which arguably saves them from the Vampire Lord's wrath, because he no longer will want to charge them. Alright, so chargers, Elector Count, he's going into the Banshee. Swordsmen are going into the zombies. That's it, that's my charges. So I'm going to make my fear checks. This is for the Elector Count, he passes. This is for the swordsmen, they pass. So Elector Count out, into there. Alright, so now what we're going to quickly do is we're going to remove his mark as being part of this unit. Blue unit 5 no longer. And then you are now number 1 rather than... Where is this? There we go. And then we just sort of reform the unit like that. These guys make it in, yep, so they go in like this. And then we'd slide to like here to maximize. Okay. Great swords. The great swords are going to go ahead and we're going to reform them on the spot. So they're going to reform to be 4 wide. Actually, they're going to reform to be 6 wide. Nah. Actually, I know what we're doing. We're reforming them 7 wide. And then we are wheeling them like so. But then we just scoot them down a bit. So this puts them next to the obstacle, wide enough that all the ghouls will get in base contact and will have as many great swords sitting back as possible. Finally, we're going to do the flagellants. The flagellants right now are kind of meant to just bulwark against the skeletons if they get through. But if the bat storm just hits them in the flank, then that doesn't really work. because only one guy gets to attack back. Okay, I think what we're going to do is this. I'm going to reform these guys as well. And we're going to reform them into this angle. So the skeletons go in, hit the front. The bat swarm goes in, hits the front. And the vampire lord hits the flank and just kills them if he wants to. But that's fine by me. Alright, and then shooting. So all of these guys... So which ones can see the vampire lord? All but this guy can see the vampire lord. So that's going to be 4 shots. They are in short range now, so that's going to be hitting on 4s like usual. 4 attacks, hit on 4s, wound on 5s, save on 2s, go. Nothing. Predictable. And then this one handgunner gets to shoot at the bat swarm because he can't see the target of the rest of them. He hits, he wounds. There is no save for a bat swarm, so they take 1 wound. Fantastic. Okay. We're going to start over here with the Elector Count versus the Banshee. And watch as my Banshee immediately loses this fight. So, it's going to be 3 attacks. He'll hit on 3s. He will wound on 1s. The armor will save on 7s. Go. She is dead. She has perished. Next up, Halberdiers versus Skeletons. I believe the Skeletons are initiative 2. Halberdiers are initiative 3, I believe. Yeah, so they go first. This is going to be 6 attacks, hit on 3s, wound on 3s, save on 5s. Oh, unfortunate for them. 5 attacks, hit on 4s, wound on 4s, save on 6s. Go. And they lose 1 guy. Alright, and then finally, the Swordsmen versus the Zombies. So this is going to be 6 attacks from our swordsmen. They hit on 3s, they wound on 4s. Zombies never have armor, so they save on 7s. That is an entire row of dead zombies. Wow, that is some good rolls. That is 6 hits, actually. That's kind of insane. The zombie hits, the zombie wounds, the armor save is failed, 1 guy dies. Alright, so then, Elector Count can overrun. Do I want him to do that? That is a good question. No, I don't, because I want him to be able to charge in to hit these skeletons next turn, and start just like cleaving through this unit, hopefully. And if the ghouls choose to charge him, then next turn the greatswords can charge them, and they should like absolutely storm through them. And of course, this also assumes that the ghouls hit him, which they might not. They might just like bounce off his armor and he might just cleave through them as well. So we're going to not overrun with him. This combat, there was an extra rank. They have equal numbers. These guys lost 1 guy. So that's evened out. But there's a banner. So that's going to be a loss for the Halberdiers, who are going to be forced to flee, and they're going 2d6. They are forced to flee because they are... Oh no, they're not forced to flee. They get to make a leadership test, actually. And they're fine. They hold. Good job, guys. As for our zombies, static combat res, that's +5. These guys are just dead, so it's going to pull them off the board. And then a swordsman... Do they overrun or not? That is the question. No, of course they don't, because the bats can't threaten them in the rear right now, because if they do, they don't have the unit strength to break them. So I think they just stay. Alright, so then. Oh, and our ghouls actually have to make a panic check, because they are alive, and they aren't immune to psychology. But they pass it, so they're fine. I think they pass it. Yeah, they pass it, they're fine. Oh, those guys cause fear. Huh. Oh, not cause fear, have poisoned attacks. That's what I meant to say. That's interesting. Anyway, that out of the way, we are now on to the vampire count's turn. Okay, what are we going to do here? I think the bat swarm has to charge the flagellants here, just to get rid of them. The vampire lord, he's obviously going to have to charge the handgunners. I want to do something with him. It's the big thing that I'm thinking right now. But I don't want to try and put him into like a melee combat where it's like combat resolution is a factor. Because obviously that's his biggest weakness, is getting combat rezzed out of the fight. So let's see, the ghouls. What do we do with the ghouls? What do we do with the ghouls? Do they charge the elect account or do they charge the greatsword? Okay, charging the greatswords, they will be going over obstacle. They only hit on 6s. They do automatically wound if they hit on 6s though, which is good. And this assumes that the greatswords don't flee, which there's a chance that they do. That is 2 attacks. That's a lot of attacks. This is such a hard decision. I'm going to charge the greatswords. I'm going to regret this, but I'm going to charge the greatswords. Okay, so these guys go in. Oh wait, sorry. First of all, obviously, fear checks. So from the greatswords, they pass. From the handgunners, they fail. They go fleeing 5 inches over the edge. This guy still would reach them, so they are dead. Oops, sorry. There we go. Alright, then the Vampire Lord's facing this way now. So this is turn 3, so he's not going to do much this game. But he might end up still scoring enough victory points. And then finally we have bats. And flagellants are immune to psychology, so this doesn't matter. Alright, and then ghoul. I'm not going to bother lining them up. We know that they're hitting correctly. So with that, magic phase. Okay, let me check. Hellish Vigor. Let's see. Has to target an undead unit within 18 inches. I'm not sure if anything is within 18 inches. But you know what, we're going to try it. I'm going to cast it on our skeletons, because I probably am not in range, but I get to find out. Oh, I am, and I'm going to 3 dice it. So, that's an 8. I'm going to 2 dice to dispel attempt. That's a 4. Okay, so these guys are going to attack first, and they get to reroll. And they're just fishing to kill like 1, maybe 2 guys, and do, what's it called again? Just basically get like an outnumber edge so that they can instant break them. Alright, so then that brings us to the combat phase. We're going to start with the ghouls. Okay, so ghouls, they hit on 6s. So there is 10 attacks. They hit on 6s. If they hit, they automatically wound, and then there is a 4-up armor save on the greatswords. Go. And that is unfortunately saved. So now we have 7 greatswords attacking back. They'll hit on 3s. They will wound on 3s because ghouls are toughness 4, but they will save on 7s. Go. That is 2 dead ghouls. It's probably going to be a fleeing set of ghouls. Next up, skeletons. 5 attacks. They hit on 4s, but they reroll all their misses. They wound on 4s, and the saves are on 6s. That is 1 dead halberdier. Now the halberds get 5 attacks back. They will hit on 3s. Sorry, they will wound on 3s, and they'll be saved on 5s. And they don't do anything back. Alright, so that's going to be an instant breaking unit. And then finally we have the bat swarm. So this is going to be 10 attacks that will hit on... This might hit on 3s actually. I think the flagellants... Yeah, this hits on 3s. But it wounds on 5s, and they save on 7s. Go. 2 dead flagellants. Okay. Now, flagellants have flails, which I don't know off the top of my head what exactly those do. I'm pretty sure it's +1 combat on the first round of... +1 strength on the first round of combat. No, +2 strength in the first round of combat. Okay, so... Oh, I'm very sorry. Actually, they don't wound on 5-ups, they wound on 6-ups, because flagellants have bonus toughness. Just noticed that, so 1 less dead guy. And this is because I can see that we have the dice rolls here. So there's a 5 and a 6 for the 2 wounds, so we just keep the 6. Alright, 4 attacks back. They'll hit on 4s, they'll wound on 2s. The bats save on 7s, go. And that is 2 extra damage. Bring them up to 3 wounds. And I'm going to real quick bring this guy to the front so we can see his damage. Okay. So over here, combat resolution, outnumbered, 2 wounds. Ghouls get a leadership check because they are alive. 6 minus 3. Oh, they pass actually. Good for them. They don't get over the wall though, so that's going to be a problem for them the next turn. I'll move them over here. Next up, bats. They did 1. They took 2. They are, are they alive as well? I think they're alive as well. Yep, they're alive, but they are unbreakable, so nothing happens on that fight. Oh, this is 2 unbreakable units fighting. This is going to be a problem. And then finally, halberdiers. Obviously, they get broken, so they're going to go fleeing, and they are fleeing 6 inches, and the skeletons pursue 7, so they are removed from the fight. And then swordsman and greatswords both have to take panic checks. Swordsman, greatswords. Swordsmen flee 9 inches in this direction, which is directly away from the problem. Now, the skeletons would shoot forward 7 inches, and then they will hit the fight. So we're going to wheel them this way. Unit 4 wheel. I'm just going to delete these guys. I've been trying to not delete them on account of the, what's it called again? So we can maximize the number of units in contact by shifting them like this. I think that's the correct interpretation. That's what I'm going with today, at least. And if I'm wrong, yell at me in the comments, like always. Okay, so that brings us to the end of PC turn 3. This is rapidly turning into a disaster for all parties involved. So let's go ahead and swordsman unit check. Whoops. They rally. They have dropped their banner because they fled though, which is noteworthy. But they do rally, and they do get to reform, and they're going to reform facing in this direction. And once again, I'm going to delete that guy. And then finally, next up, the handgunners. They don't rally. They go 7 more inches straight off the board. Okay, all handgunners lost from the fight. There is only one decision, and that is the elector count. And I think he's going straight to the skeletons. So he has to make a fear check, which he passes, and in he goes. And that is going to bring us straight to the combat phase because there is nothing else. So we're going to start with the elector count. He makes 3 attacks. He hits on 3s. He wounds on 1s. They save on 7s. Go. 3 dead skeletons. So this would be these 3 technically, so there's only 2 that can fight back. Next up, Batswarm is initiative 1, skeletons are initiative 2, and we have flagellants at initiative 3. So the flagellants go next. They're going to put everything into the skeleton unit. No, we're going to put 1 into the Batswarm. So that's going to be hits, doesn't wound, and then 3 into the skeletons. And that's going to hit on 3s, they're going to wound on 4s, they're going to save on 4s, go. 1 extra dead skeleton. So that leaves only 1 skeleton to fight back. He hits. He doesn't wound, and then the bats. 5 attacks, hit on 3s, wound on 5s, save on 7s, go. Nothing. Alright, so that brings us over to the ghouls. The great swords will attack last because they have great weapons, so the ghouls go first. 6 attacks, hit on 6s, wound on 1s, save on 4s, go. Still nothing. This is only 5 great swords hitting back this turn. They'll hit on 3s, they'll wound on 2s, and they get saved on 7s. Alright, so that's an entire row of dead ghouls as well. Alright, so combat resolution over here. We killed 4 of them. There's no outnumber, there's nothing else going on, but there is only 1, 2, 3, 4 left, so they crumble. And then I pull out this one to put behind us, because we have captured a banner. And then notably, I'm going to slide these guys back over to be continuous combat, but the elector count isn't part of it. So this is a really good outcome so far for the Empire, but it's not over yet. So then we have the Vampire Lord. He is going to turn about face. He's going to crest the hill. He's going to stop right here. We're looking square at those greatswords. That's where I'm going next. And this brings me to combat, right? Yes. I was about to go, that's the end, but no, it's not the end. Also, I'm incorrect in thinking these guys need to sit here. They do actually need, hang on. Oops, wrong one. There we go. Get rid of this guy. Okay, so these guys actually need to slide up one more. Okay, so flagellants first. 4 attacks. They hit on 4s. They will wound on 3s. Bat save on 7s. Go. 2 more wounds. 1 dead bat. We have 5 attacks that hit on 3s. That wound on 6s. That save on 7s. Nothing. Alright, so that brings us to the Empire turn. Now, previously, when the Terror Bomb hit, it only hit the Swordsman and the Halberdiers. I don't think the Greatswords got it, so they have to take a Terror test here. And they pass, and so does the Elector count. Alright, so, what are we doing? Well, first thing we're doing is we're shuffling these Swordsmen as quickly as we can back into the fight. Because if we could just get those to connect with the front of these guys into the Vampire Lord, oh, that'd be juicy. The worst thing that can happen right now, actually, is that the Flagellants get charged in the rear by the Vampire Lord without a reaction. So, what we're going to do, we're going to about face these guys, keeping in mind that only 3 of them will be able to fight at a time. So we're going to form them up 4 wide, wheel them, slap them right here. And then the Elector count is going to step into this slot right here. And we're just basically going to defend the Flagellants to prevent the skeleton from, the banner from getting taken. Because we really want to keep this. And that is the end of that part of the phase. Oh, I didn't do magic last turn, did I? Oh well, my bad. I forgot that. That's on me. I'm not going to go back. Actually, I'm going to go back. Screw it. We're going to do a... Honestly, we're going to cast a small version and just heal himself, is I think the most important thing we can do. Which succeeds, unless we get an 11. Yep, alright, so... He is unwounded now, which is actually pretty important, I think, for victory point purposes. If he can somehow... There's no way he is turning this one around, let's be real here. But, let's go ahead and continue. So, 4 flagellants hitting the bat. 3s, 7s, go. 3 wounds on the bat. Bat makes 5 attacks. Hits on 3s, wounds on 5s, saves on... wounds on 6s, saves on 7s. 1 more dead flagellant. Noteworthy, honestly. Okay, so next turn. This is Vampire Lord. He's charging the Elector count, obviously. Elector count has to make a fear check. 8. He passes. Okay, good for him. Dubiously good for him. Next up, magic. We're going to cast... Oh, we're going to cast... let me see. I don't think I need... Nope, I can just target a point. So we're going to be casting the level 2 version. We're going for a zombie unit. And we're going to be putting it right here to block off the oncoming greatswords. That is going to succeed unless it is dispelled, which it isn't. So that is going to be 2d6 plus 2, 11 zombies. So we're going to bring this unit back out here. And just throw 2 more guys in. 9. 10. Undead everyone. Wheel them around to here. Wheel. Slap a new unit of zombies right here. And that's just going to complicate things very tidily for the Empire player. For me, I'm the Empire player. Don't know why I say it like that. Alright, so that's going to be 6 attacks from our Vampire count. He is going to hit on 3s. He is going to wound on 3s. Our poor guy is going to be saving on 5s. Yes, that is correct. And he has only dealt 1 wound to the Elector count. This is huge. The horse gets an attack. It misses. That would have been very climactic if something cool happened with it, but it didn't. He hits on a 4 because this is actually, does he hit on a 4? He's only weapon skill 5, so let me double check this real quick. I'm pretty sure he does. Pretty sure at 5 nothing can outpace you. Opponent's weapon skill 5. Opponent's weapon skill is 10. Yeah, 5 guarantees you always hit on a 4. Okay, so wounds on 1s, saves on 7s. No rerolling misses, it doesn't matter. 2 wounds. Okay, this is a tied combat because he is unit strength 2 because he's on a horse. So this is insanely close. And that's the end of turn 4. Alright. So, great swords, we're going to declare a charge into the zombies. Swordsman, we're going to declare a charge into the vampire lord. Let's go, boys. They pass. They pass. Alright, so great swords are in. I'm not going to bother lining them up. Okay, let's see. That is... Is that predominantly flank or predominantly front? I genuinely cannot tell staring at this visual. I think it's predominantly front. Yep. No, I worked it out. Alright, so these guys are going to charge in and they just hit the front. And they're barely going to tap him. But that's okay. That's all we need. Alright, and that's just straight into the combat. Let's go, boys. We're going to finish up with our flatulence. So 3 attacks. They hit on 3s. No, they hit on 4s. They wound on 3s. The bat saves on 7s. They have killed the bat. Or the bats, I should say. There's multiple bats. Next up, the great swords versus the zombies. 4 attacks, hit on 3s, wound on 2s, save on 7s. Go, 1 dead zombie. 4 attacks back, hit on 4s, wound on 4s, save on 4s. Go, 1 dead great sword. The zombies actually are going to win this fight. Oh no, that's very bad for the great swords. Next up, Vampire Lord versus Elector Count. He has to issue a challenge, and we're just going to accept it with the Elector Count because I don't want to bother with Look, if we accept it with the regular guy, he's just going to get shredded. The Elector Count at least stands something of a chance. So 6 attacks. They hit on 3s. They wound on 3s. No, they wound on... Yeah, they wound on 3s. He saves on 5s. Let's go. He is dead. And there is no attacks back from that. So, let's do combat resolution real quick. These guys can't move because obviously they just killed the bat. The 2 wounds here. 1, 2, 3 ranks. They outnumber. They have won the combat by 2. How many wounds does the vampire lord have left? Only 2, so he perishes. The zombies beat the great swords. The great swords are going to flee automatically. They go 5 inches. The zombies only go 3. It's kind of hilarious, actually. So they go 5 inches this way. Zombies pursue 3. I think technically they should have slowed down because they're going through the difficult terrain, but I'm not too fast in this instance. And then these guys are going to actually just overrun. There's literally no reason not to, because at this stage, the game is very thoroughly won for the Empire. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and, let me see. The general dies, units must make a leadership test immediately. So he's going to do 2d6, 9. Zombies have leadership of 2, I believe. I don't actually have zombies rules written down here. Huh. Give me a second to pull up my Vampire Counts rule book. I forgot to write them down. Yes, for context, I prepare like Word documents that have all the details. Yep, so that's going to be 7 dead zombies. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. No, 7. But then next turn, yep, they would just perish away entirely. So that is going to be the end of the game at turn 5, and we can call that a resounding Empire victory. They achieved their objective. They killed everything. So that is, what, 500 victory points plus, hang on, let's roll, 500 plus 500 divided by 5. Yeah, divide by 5. Obviously, that's 100 points. I don't need to do it that way. What am I saying? Zombies are 6 points each, so that's 66 victory points. 600 and... Yeah, that tracks. That makes sense. I should have expected that. And then as for the Empire side of things, or for the Vampire counts, they score 39 victory points for killing the Elector count, 40 victory points for killing the Handgunners, again, 40 victory points for Handgunners, 70 points for the Halberds, and they didn't achieve their objective or half strength anything, so only 189. That was closer than I thought it would be, honestly. I genuinely expected that the Vampire Lord could just kind of run amok, but okay, in fairness, this is a Vampire Counts army where the general is incredibly important, and if he die, and he can just like die to static combat resolution. So perhaps this wasn't the best army to choose for this test. But at the same time, I kind of feel like nothing would have changed if... I don't see how it else could... I don't think a different army would have significantly altered that outcome. Like, the Lord would be weaker. He'd have to be on a monstrous mount to achieve this sort of results. And then, like, you know, he can just flee instead of from being static combat resed. Like, that's still an option that can occur. So, I'm not too sure what conclusions to draw from this, other than I had fun. It was a good game. I still really like this map. I think this angle is really interesting to go from. The tight gaps that get made all over here are really interesting. It just sort of like funnels you into a fight, but still gives you room to do stuff if you have mobile units. I think this is a really interesting map. I like this a lot. Will it appear again? Unknown. Probably. Because I'm really lazy about making maps some days. But I think that's all my thoughts on this. I do like that losing the Elector count was only worth 39 victory points and not 195. Even if it had been, it wouldn't have changed anything, obviously, because the Vampire Lord died as well. But if originally, like if his original victory points total was in play, it would be 393 instead of 79. So like it's still a significant deal that he died. And with that, I think that we are done. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, all that fun stuff. Tomorrow I am busting out Wood Elves versus Bretonia, and we are doing the Woodland Ambush, I think is the scenario name, in the back of the Wood Elf book. I was looking at all the scenarios, I was like, I'm gonna get bored of playing these, I don't think there's enough to do, the amount of standard battle reports that I want to do, and I remembered that the Elf books all have scenarios in the back, which is really weird that it's all specifically the Elf books. But I went ahead and I prepared lists and game ideas for all 3 of those. So those are all on the back burner. Wood Elves tomorrow, 500 points of Wood Elves versus 1,000 points of Bretonia. And then it's going to be another Warbands, another Little Lords. And with that, I should have rounded it all out to 3 of each. And I can throw in a Border Patrol game again. There's a plan for this month now. I'm just going to go ahead and spoil what the plan is. It's 7 border patrols because you can't fit ogres into a border patrols game legally. I think ogres weren't released when border patrols was written, which is really funny. And then it is going to be 8 of every other format. So 8 warbands, 8 little lords, 8 standard games. And I'm going to make sure that no army gets a repeat matchup. So this is the only time you'll see Empire versus Vampire counts. And I've already done Empire versus Dark Elves. So you're going to have Empire versus something else. Probably Orcs and Goblins, I think, is what I'm looking right now. But we shall see. I haven't decided. So, until tomorrow, boy.